So, this is the last video from the Red Schools. I would like to apologize first because I saw that in the last videos I had my microphone off, so they were not commented. And on the last video I wanted to make a little resume about the team, how it performed along the open ladder season. And unfortunately, yes, it was off, and yeah, I would like to repeat it in this new video. So this is the team that we have finished with. After the last match with the Chaos Chosen, we got some strong injuries. One lineman with -1 agility, another one with -1 armor. And this one, I think it was just a missed next K. And a serious injury too, so yeah, that was a bit tough. But still, I mean, it was a nice match. So, regarding the players themselves, first of all, I would like to talk about the Ogre. I think that it is fundamental in the first line of the matches, and yeah, support has been fundamental. I think it's a great skill to put into the Ogre, and then the rest of them were all in random. No, Break Tackle is fine, I mean, it's not a big deal, but the Stand Firm was really a game changer. It helped us that in the case that they got arrows, they weren't able to free the rest of the players that were in contact with him, and that was really, really nice. It gave us a lot of more flexibility on the rest of the team. It rigidified a lot the rival positions, and this helped a lot. And then Brawler, yeah, it's always better block, but still, comparing 40k to 10k that this skill costs, it's quite an advantage, and I think that it's good enough. It's a good option to consider, especially if you get it in random, then you just avoid getting blocked, and you can save some team value through the skills of the Ogre. So yeah, really important piece. First, to defend on the line of sight, and second, to get as many players stuck as possible once you get support and stand firm. Then the Rat Ogre, I would say that it is one of the MVP of the team. Really incredibly useful to open spaces in the formation of the rivals, removing the smaller players, and that's quite a big deal. In this case, block is quite fundamental because the objective is to blitz all the turns with a Rat Ogre, and if it's not blitzing, it means that in the previous turn it blitzed and it got in contact with the next player. That's how I think it should be played. And then once again, doubling up the effect of the Ogre. If you put Stand Firm on the Ogre and on the Rat Ogre, this means that you will get at least 5-6 players of the rival team that will get stuck with these two pieces, and it will give a lot of freedom on the rest of your players. Then the Orc, it's a very good piece, especially for the price. It helps you to maintain either the first line or to take care of the Rat Ogre, and for this the extra armor is always great, so 100% recommended. Then the Dark Elf, together with the Rat Ogre, the MVPs of the team. Starting with dodge, you can feel that the player changes a lot when you get dodge. It gets much more flexibility, especially because we are playing only with 2 rerolls. So you know that if there is someone that is going to have to dodge, it's going to be this one. Then when you get the blodger, it's already something else. It's really, really interesting. And after that, just movement increase, trying to get the +1 agility. If you are not able to get it, then just pick up the movement, and it's an incredible player after that. It gives you the flexibility to go forward in aggressive defenses, pursue the rivals, and together with sidestep after that, it's just an optimal player. Honestly, you don't need to improve anything else. At most, maybe you can add 2 heads or big hand. I would say maybe big hand is more interesting in order to pick up the ball when it is in contact of one of the rivals. After making a blitz, you just pick it up and you dodge away again. That's an incredibly annoying piece for our rivals. Then the Skaven. We had several Skavens in the team, and I would say that they are not as important as the rest of the positionals that we have used. The -1 armor, we have felt it a lot through these deaths that our Skavens had, but still having an extra player that has 7 movement, I think it's quite interesting, and it helps to support the Dark Elf once it started getting some extra SPP. So I would say that although it's not a mandatory player, just having this extra plus movement, it's important to consider. Then, if we talk about the linemen, the random generals to start with are really nice. On the first one we got Wrestle, then we got Block, and after that we decided to go on with Stripple. And I think that this has been one of the most important players that we had in our team, together with Dark Elf and the Rat Ogre, maybe the Ogre, and after that it's just this one for sure. He has been giving us a lot of strength on the line when we needed it. When we needed to pursue the ball, we were able to use Wrestle too. So it's been a really nice player to get through the enemy lines when we had to block them. It gave us this extra security. After that, Mr. Bad Luck, Sure Hands as a random. That was really, really cool. Before we were debating between should we pick up the thrower or not. After getting one player with Sure Hands, we gave it a go, and then it allowed us to leave the Dark Elf much forward to the middle of the field, and Mr. Enelbram to be the one that picks up the ball. With this, it allows us to make in a single turn much more movement on the ball. So the 6 positions from himself, give up the ball to the Dark Elf, and then from 6 to 8, depending on the increase of movement that we had on the time. And yeah, that was just fantastic. This gave us the possibility to make more elfy-like playstyles, and that was really, really nice. One thing to consider, maybe it's just not using Block as a second skill, just go directly to extra arms, because in the end this player should be way behind the lines or always protected with other players. So I don't think that this Block skill makes that much sense, at least before the extra arms. Then Anton Terror, Block, Close, and Tackle. What else do you need to do? Nothing else to say. I mean, just a Block. It gives you more consistency when you are playing against tough players, when you need to take down some rivals. Close is something that you need in this team for sure, because when you're playing against teams that have much higher armor value, you need to be able to pierce them down, otherwise it's just too tricky to get away, because you are not an agility 2+ team. You need to punch holes on the rival's defense in order to be able to break through. And players like this and the Rat Ogre are the ones that really allow you to get through, to punch the lines of the rivals, make some injuries, making the defense lines of the rivals thinner, and from then on, yes, with the Dark Elf, with the Skavens, and with other super players, break through the lines and score. But this 1 or 2 players like this, I think that they are mandatory in a Chaos Renegade team. This is the last skill that we got, just a random mutation to celebrate the end of the Liga for the Red Skulls. I think that it may be interesting to play with such player, to be able to go and dodge away, finding new situations to support the Dark Elf. I think it may be interesting to have a player like this, but still, just throwing random generals in the beginning, I think it's more interesting because it gives you Block, it gives you Wrestle, it gives you Tackle. These are all skills that are really nice, and from then on you can synergize this first skill with a second general or mutation skill. In some cases, block and claw. And in other cases, block and strip ball, for example, or wrestle and strip ball are great, or sure hands, extra arms. So I would keep the mutations maybe for the second skill. Just first check with a random skill what kind of positional appears from this skill. Are you getting a ball carrier? Are you getting a blocker? And from then on, decide what mutation or what general skill synergizes with this first skill. Then tackle. I think that considering the last team that has entered the Bloodbowl 3, getting players with tackle is almost mandatory, because otherwise people will always dodge away around you and they will get the position that they want. You will be in unfavorable positions and it's very tricky to play against. I've suffered this quite a lot, especially in the matches against Underworld denizens. And I think that if I had the players with tackle before, it would have been much easier to defend against them. But still, really interesting players. Regarding pro, I would say that as long as it's a general skill, it's nice to have as the first random, and after that you just can consider as second random general to ensure what kind of specialist you would get from this lineman. And then the goblin, I would say that two heads, being able to dodge around is really nice to have. I don't know if horns and strip ball and block or wrestle would be interesting later on. There are people that recommend this. I haven't used the goblin that much, and mainly as a support piece when we lost one of the players in the first drive. And yeah, I would say that it fills its role of being an extra player to consider when you want to have a cheap support or a cheap 12th player. That's nice. To have in an 11-player team, I would not be that sure if it's worth it, because then an armor A+ is always the weakest part of the chain, and it may be trickier for future players to consider. But yeah, regarding throwing the goblin around to make a one-turn touchdown, I think that we tried it once or twice, but not that often, and that's been in maybe 10-15 matches, so I'm not sure if it's really that useful or something that important to consider. So I would consider him as a support player that will be giving support around the blocks to give this extra assistance to get to dice roll. So that would be it. Then about extra players, the troll I think it's interesting to have in the beginning of the Liga. When you don't have that many skills in your lineman, then you have an extra column or pillar in the defense line that can help you a little bit. But after that, after some skills, etc., you start to feel that you need to babysit him a little bit too much. You are losing too many players around that area, and especially if he gets stuck together with the ogre, and these two players are only covering like 2-3 players, then it's not that beneficial for you. You get too much rigidity in your playstyle, in your team, and then you can feel it on the field that there are many teams that are able to run around the troll, and yeah, you lose the flexibility required to stop the rivals. And then we have some extra alignment that I considered in the case of playing again. But yeah, usually we would only have up to the goblin. So that would be it. Thank you very much for following this playlist list of the Chaos Renegade team, the Red Skulls. And yeah, now I have to decide what team I will be running next. And I'm not quite sure still, but let's see what we choose in the end. So thank you very much and see you next time.